What is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to Prospect eSports Showdown. Here for you guys this evening, I am Ethan, joined in a booth tonight by Laurel. Today we're going to be watching a riveting game of Overwatch, the Grand Finals match of our upper division, taking place between Maelstrom and the Bench. These teams will be competing for the Grand Championship title of Season 3 for our Prospect eSports Showdown. Laurel, how are you doing tonight?
I had better days, but not because of how not excited I am for these match up. You know, Maelstrom being our top seed and Bench being second, this is going to be a down to the ground fight for top position. Like you said, it's the grand final winner for Prospect eSports Showdown upper division. Both teams are ready, and we're staring down Lijiang Tower for our first map. You know, we've always said that Lijiang is just one of those maps that everybody scrims it 50 million times, but it's also fun to cast because you can run so many different things. We are going to Control Center first. You know, it may have been too soon to get predictions, but maybe we can get that up on the board. Predictions for Maelstrom v Bench for Lijiang.
Absolutely, I believe Maelstrom going into this first map, especially this series, is going to be the fan favorites. I actually queued into a competitive game earlier today and discovered the Nednerb, one of our starting DPS here for Maelstrom on my team. So, you know, my money, based on how I saw the Nednerb carry my team today in my competitive game, I'm gunning for Maelstrom. So those of you in the chat watching, thanks so much for tuning in, and be sure to cast those predictions. Laura, break me down these compositions that we're seeing really quick.
Now, we have almost mirrored matchups except Silver on Brig, where Michael is on Baptiste. We're going to have a little bit of sustainability, long distance, a little bit safe distance from Michael, where Brig is going to have to get in the face of a Symmetra and a Junkrat, which is just not always the smartest idea to have. Oh, and we do see the BAP coming out. I like that choice. We have TPs coming out and speeds, both touching at the same time. Kaiser and Zed facing up.
Now look at this engagement here in the white room, as we call it. The Immortality field already coming out from the side of the bench. Truzoy finds Zed, and Kaiser goes down as well. Without the main tanks, both of these teams might be on the ropes here, but Zebs is really compensating in the tank department here. The damage mitigation and damage, more importantly, coming through onto Michael and Donatello. No sustain, no point presence here from Maelstrom. They're going to have to back off and just kind of take a breather here for a minute.
Yeah, Bench gets the point 3-0, you know, and Maelstrom is still not all the way together. They are looking like they're pathing through servers. The Bench sees this and meets them in white.
Yeah, it's really just, ooh, another rotation actually from Maelstrom going all the way to the other side of the, going all the way to the spawn of the bench here and taking a fight here behind them. Kaiser opening it up with a Fire Strike elimination onto a Demect Sebs. That's going to put the point presence here at potential risk as we have the damage coming up from Matson. Is going to go down to a concussion mine from the net. Rocks the tire and gets two with it. Archivist and Silver both going down, and Maelstrom is going to make quick work of this swing of the objective.
Now, that's what we'd love to see. We love to see big, beautiful tires coming out, and maybe that's why you won that match, Ethan. No hate, all love to the nerve.
Yeah, absolutely. And with these teleporters as well, we're going to see quick, really quick engagements here from both these teams. Already the tire coming out from Archivist, and the wall is going to come up from Christian as well. A triple kill on the tire and a shadow from Maelstrom as well. Isn't going to yield much. Look at that. The fight swings for the bench so quickly, even off the back of those ultimates. Oh, I'm sorry, it was Zed who actually shattered there, securing the team, or securing that fight for the team. Really,
yeah, we are
even on percentage here.
Yeah, we are 31 to 39. Not a huge lead now on the bench, but they do have the point back in their pocket. You know, all we see right now are Tangles, which are powerful on Maelstrom, and does look like they're deciding which way they want to kite. They started to go Silver, and I think they juked the bench.
I love those, the old bait and switch that you can afford to do, and there's the Shatter as well coming out from Kaiser, connect to a shield, but does prompt the Immortality field, which won't be there to help with the bomb coming out from Truzoy. Does get the remech off, and the wall comes up from Matson as well as the counter bob is launched by Zebs, is able to remech there. Christian and Kaiser both going down in this fight is not going to bode well for Maelstrom, and we do have a re-engagement here from Truzoy. Might be trying to get out, is actually, yeah, is going to back out here, but gets pinned. Oh, Zed catching Truzoy out, and then I think we're just going to see a reset here from Maelstrom.
It would be smart to reset at this point. You know, they do have time at 84% to recontest. TP is up to kind of help them move back and forth between white and main. Pretty much to give them the upper hand of which way Maelstrom decides to kite. They are going down main towards the point. Beat coming up super early by Donatello, hopefully giving them an aggressive edge.
Yeah, we really just wanted the B for a little bit of extra sustain, and as the tire coming out from Archivist is actually getting thwarted by the mirror matchup on the net, Zed does find the pin onto Kaiser, but it's not going to yield any eliminations. The net finds Zebs out with a concussion mine, and really the fight is swinging now. Honestly, not swinging, it's secured for Maelstrom here.
Yeah, we saw the two Sims having a duo on main towards Maelstrom's side, and ultimately Christian having the upper hand, keeping their wall, which is going to be great in securing this point through another team fight. We have 42% to 99.
And the teleporters, like I said earlier, they're going to make for really quick engagements, but might not be able to save the bench here as the amplification matrix does come out. Zebs is going to get demected and makes themselves susceptible to those extra damage coming in. There's going to be some downtime here for the bench, I anticipate, waiting on just that remech to come back through. But Zed says, no waiting. Oh, but Zebs goes down. Yeah, no, this is time to back out here for the bench.
For sure, you know, you have plenty of extra time in the bank to go to your advantage. You don't want to be pushing forward when your diva is demeched. You don't want to go when you're a person down. We do have a window coming up and beat by Aurora, but we have so much more ult on the Maelstrom side. We have Tyrus coming up right now along with the wall. Whoa! Nebby Nebson! There will not be a recontest by the bench, just calling it.
Unless we get some serious swaps here and some really good speed from Aurora, Zed, and Sebs here. Sebs going on to the Wrecking Ball is looking for a last-second touch here, but I don't think that they'll be able to get it. We do have a contest of the objective here from Aurora on the Lucio, but they won't be able to retouch here, and Sebs just stonewalled there on the Wrecking Ball by Truzoy. The little body block there is going to secure our first round in this map for Maelstrom.
Yeah, now I don't hate that Aurora went on the outside to try to capture. They took a little too long to re-tick the overtime clock to allow Sebs to be able to touch again, but had Aurora stayed out in the open, for sure they would have been just annihilated, as it was one Lucio versus an entire team. Now we do see an interesting switch. We have Truzio on ball and Kaiser still on the diva, whereas we have double bubble coming out on the bench's side.
I like the double bubble composition. It's kind of this hybrid dive brawl composition, leaning more into the brawl. So we're going to see how Zed and Sebs really makes use of this particular composition. Truzoy and Kaiser on the ball and the D.Va are particularly interesting to me, but we'll see how it plays out for them. Like I said, I think Maelstrom has a really good advantage here, and they solidify it here as Michael picks Archivist out of the fight first. That's a tough pick, actually, to get the Tracer as the Ana. So Michael already putting in work for the team as the point begins to unlock here.
Yeah, and really what we want to see from Maelstrom is to pinch from all sides. That's what their comp is going to be good for. Truzio looks like he's going to be taken out of the clock, and he is by sets.
Yeah, but the point here will be captured initially by the bench. It looks like the fight in the backlines of the bench taking place between the Ned, Donatello, Christian, Aurora, and Silver. You know, it's really going the way of the bench here. If even for a brief moment, Kaiser finally engages onto the objective. Particle barriers coming out from Sebs onto Zed is going to result in a DMAC onto Kaiser. And honestly, the bench, even with this man disadvantage, they're making this work. There's so much space being created by the tanks, and Sebs has got the damage secured. Kaiser's going to throw themselves off the ledge to reset, but we get the duplicate out from the Ned. The nano response onto Zed from Silver. It's going to tether onto Michael, get them out of the fight. Nano doing a lot in that particular fight. The Ned launching the duplicate grab, catching only Archivist on the point. And now finally things are beginning to swing here for Maelstrom, but the stun onto Truzoy is going to be tough, prompting the nano boost onto them as well. Michael gets Aurora out of the fight, and finally I think that Maelstrom will be able to start taking this objective.
Yeah, you know, unless Zed pulls some crazy things out of his ass, mines are coming out to take him down. You know, we do see a copy by their D.Va, which was interesting. The bomb hopefully is going to secure it finally. No, maybe.
Oh, and look, Truzoy even gets mad.
They are still contesting. You know, Aurora doing rally, trying to stall this even more because they do need this win to prevent it from going off of Lijiang. Zeb now doing Primal to push all back. The sports
Look at that. 2 eliminations onto both supports there, Laura. That is huge. And granted, they don't have anything in the bank coming into this next fight. So how do you think this next fight for Maelstrom is going to play out?
Well, on the Maelstrom side, they only have Donatello's Valk. That's not a huge potential upgrade, whereas Silvertail is going to get their nano much faster than anything else. Neb is only 50% top. You see Bubble coming out and Neb charging forward, but not really making much more space. Neb getting taken down by Mather and Aurora taking down Christian.
Yeah, Matson doing really good to thwart that mirror matchup there. Is going to find Help Archivist secure a melee finish down to Michael. Now it's only Donatello. I take that back. It's not even Donatello. It's Truzoy that was there on the objective very briefly, and I emphasize very briefly. Zeds finds them out really, really quickly. We do have a reconnection from the Ned, but it's not going to be enough. 200 HP in a Dream is not going to be enough to recontest this objective, much less 150 HP in the Dream. But get the D.Va on point, and things might start to swap here. Kaiser reconnects to the objective, is going to get stunned, and immediately demacked. Look at the damage coming out from the bench here. But we have Lucio, we have Donatello on the Mercy on the objective, so this might be enough. But Michael going down is going to go bode well. Donatello's going for the revive, brings Michael back to the fight. That's the main stall potential that we're looking at here from Maelstrom. Michael goes up down immediately, though. Once again, I'm pretty sure the bench has a pretty good handle on this objective as the Ned fighting arduously to fight for this objective is not going to get it. Our second round this map is going to go to the bench.
Now, I hope this is a showcase of what tonight is going to be about. Maybe we can break the record and have a 5-hour match, guys. You know, the bench has strength in Double Bubble, and sometimes that's the way Lijiang goes. When you have a stronger control center, that does not mean you will be strong all across Lijiang. I love Lijiang for that matter because it's always such a swing map in that case.
Yeah, and also, like you mentioned earlier, just the myriad compositions that we can see run on this map, and we will get to see a little bit more. It looks like Truzoy is going to be mirroring the Winston pick. I say mirroring, actually. I'm sure that they'll see eventually that Zebs and Zed are on the Rhine D.Va. Teleporters coming out from both sides are going to connect both teams to the objective relatively quickly. The turrets are going to do big damage onto Truzoy. Has to leap into the air to just avoid a little bit of that. Tries to tether on to Matson as the Symmetra, but ultimately forced off the objective, saying, please go back to spawn, Truzoy, we don't want you here. The bench is looking to control this objective here. The Ned being caught out and sent back to spawn themselves. Kaiser is eliminated from the fight as well, and I think bench is going to take first point here.
Bench touch point just a fraction of a second faster than Maelstrom, and sometimes that's all the energy that you need, the momentum that you need. We do see Michael being taken out by Matson. They just, I didn't see what happened, but I guess they were taken out by Spawn, which is going to hurt them when they need to push. Having one of their supports gone is going to be a big issue.
I think it was actually probably like a potential like miscommunication there. Michael, looking to reconnect to the objective, took the teleporter and ended up getting caught out. Here's another teleporter going up to the choke, but the bench is quick to respond. You saw those health bars. Immortality Field comes out from Maelstrom, and the wall comes out from the bench as well as the Amplification Matrix is casting and caught off that damage. And honestly, with the oh man, the significant instance of damage that came onto Maelstrom as soon as they went through that teleporter, the fight was already lost. They committed Amplification Matrix, and I don't think that was the call.
Yeah, now most teams, knowing the other team has a symmetrical, they'll hold back, they'll hold into point. And we do see their quick reaction time helping Shatter coming out, not really connecting with much. Kaiser being frozen in the blizzard.
That's not the fight. That's not the pick that you want to see light up the kill feed, and the beat comes out to sustain the team on the objective here from Aurora. But and right now, the bench are holding strong, 63% in building. We have Matson looking to take a duel with it against Truzoid. Does win that. The net finds Zeb's out of the fight, and Aurora goes down as well. Ooh, Zed goes down, punished for the over-aggression. Now it's only Matson on the objective here against Kaiser, Donatello, and the Ned. So I think that this is going to go the way of Maelstrom, but we do have a reconnection. The lamp comes out from Silver. Eventually, Matson does go down, and now Silver is just looking to contest for as long as they possibly can. Ice Wall and eventually Ice Block here going to be coming out from Archivist as they look to build a little bit more ultimate, and we have a reconnection of both the tanks. A big shadow lands onto Kaiser and Truzoid, prompting the beat out from Donatello. The tire from the net finds Aurora, though, so eventually, with enough resources, Maelstrom will be able to swing this objective and start building percentage, and that's going to start now.
Yeah, so we are 98% to 2, all so close. We don't have a whole lot on the board except window from Michael. However, Maps is very, very close to Death Blossom. Now, I hope they hold on to their ults and just do a little bit of a dry fight, knowing that Maelstrom doesn't have very much at all. We see the Divas trying to chase off Christian on the Pharah, which is smart. We don't want the Pharah to have any type of ground that she can cover. She's coming in behind the point. Barrage soon, or excuse me, not Barrage soon to come up, but we do see the windows coming out.
Yeah, both windows deployed on the objective. Kind of a slew of ultimates coming out there. Kaiser had attempted to go for the Shatter. The Ned carrying Maelstrom here with those eliminations onto Matson and Zen there, on Zed. But ultimately, it's only Donatello left on the objective. Is going to be fighting a Demect Zebs. Who's going to win? This is actually a really interesting duel. Donatello has the duel potential here on the Lucio, and Zebs is getting inching closer and closer to the mech. Kaiser reconnecting to the objective, and Aurora is just trying to keep their off tank, who is not even a tank at this moment, up on the objective. Reconnection of the objective from the rest of the forces of the bench, but I don't know how much work they'll be able to do as Donatello secures a second elimination onto Matson there. Silver goes down, and Zed follows afterwards. Like you said, we hope to see that they just hold their ults, and I think that they're meeting that condition there.
You know, we see Neb's tire coming up board, and Christian's going to have Barrage very soon. Michael switching to Moira, and the ults on the bench is looking very favorable for them to be able to recap it. Zed's Shatter is going to be up very, very soon, and I expect to see a huge Shatter. Blizzard coming out.
Ooh, as well as the Death Blossom from Matson, but the tire from Ned might be bigger onto Aurora. We needed that sustain on the objective. Shatter comes out from Zed, but the barrage in response from Christian. Ultimately, Silver goes down, so there's no sustain here on the objective for the bench. And it's once again, it's only 2 people on the objective, 1 for the bench and 1 for Maelstrom. And honestly, oh, Archivist gets Christian out of the fight. This is it. This is what the bench needed here. And as Kaiser and Michael come back to the point, Zed is quickly behind. We have Matson on the Soldier coming out. Beat as well from Donatello is going to keep the team up, and the Grandfinals surge launch from Truzoid, trapping Aurora and Zed, who both promptly go down. Archivist looking for the freeze onto Kaiser, does find it, but doesn't find the lethal instance of damage they were looking for. The Shadow comes out from Kaiser. This is going to be it for Maelstrom, or for the bench. I don't think that they'll be able to hold this. A Zeb is Demect, and that is going to be a flip of the objective. Now the good thing is that the overtime wick has been triggered, but there's no time to touch. And that is our first round, our first map going to Maelstrom.
What an impressive showing and retaking. I was a little worried because everyone was just pressing Q simultaneously. Here is Archivist. I'm assuming beautiful, beautiful tire on control.
Oh, look at that.
You just can't ask for a better tire than that.
Well, in what I'm seeing from Archivist and the Ned here, especially on that Legion Control Center, our second round in this map, the tire, that ultimate, which can be relatively quick building as well. It's a free win condition essentially. Archivist and the Ned both have a pretty good grasp on that, and Matson and Christian both know how are competent DPS players already. I think for those of us who are watching, we're getting a pretty good framework for the kinds of action, fast-paced, high-octane gameplay that we're going to be seeing this series.
For sure. Now, we will be going to either Hanamura Volskaya or Temple of Anubis. You know, Ethan, I feel like we have this conversation every time, and ultimately, we always say Temple of Anubis, I feel. Like, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I hate playing Temple of Anubis, but I love watching it. I have that relationship with most 2CP maps. But you know what? I am gonna deviate a little bit here, Laurel. I would like to see some Hanamura, and there's really one reason
Mm.
for that. We've seen, I think it was Matson and Christian there on the Symmetra with the teleporter shenanigans. We all know those clown fiestas when they break out on, especially on these 2CP maps, whether it's on Volskaya or Hanamura. Both of those are relatively good maps to run the sim on. We've seen it work in a lot of different instances, and so I'd like to see one of those two maps actually, leaning more towards Hanamura since it's a little bit more conventional to run a Symmetra on that map.
Well, it looks like they gave you a big shaft because they're choosing Anubis.
Oh no! Well, the bench
For
here
once, I actually get what I want.
yeah, actually. I mean, the bench here with an advantage here on the map pick, right? And Maelstrom as well being able to choose their side. They're going to have the confidence going into the attack or the defense, whichever one they end up choosing there, which I think they're leaning towards defense. Is that right?
They haven't actually talked about they're having some technical difficulties, so we're
Oh,
trying to
okay.
help them with that. You know, there are some Discord issues going on, but they're just calling for swaps now. We do see Jaden for Michael, um, and it does look like their technical issues have been fixed. But we
Perfect.
also have Snaku for Trezoi. So we know Snaku is a little
Ooh.
bit stronger of a Rhine than Trezoi, but I was actually a little sad to see Michael gone. I think they held their own very strongly.
Yeah, Michael has proven here for this Maelstrom squad to not be to not be one of the weak links on the team, right? I think that they've actually gotten MVP in some of our past games. They do really well, particularly on this Baptiste pick. Jaden Payne may fit more along the lines of the composition that Maelstrom is looking to do, so we'll end up seeing that shortly. I actually hope to see a little bit of a Rissa here from Snake. But talking about the things that we anticipate going into this next match here in a few moments, I think we'll get the predictions on the in the chat. Be sure to cast your predictions for the outcome of this match. Do you think that Maelstrom is going to continue going strong into this next map, or do you think it's about time that the bench really strikes back, really strikes hard against Maelstrom, and starts building some maps here in this series? It is first to four, so you've got to start building these early maps as soon as you can.
Yeah, for sure. Now, we do have the predictions out. It is going to be a little delayed, obviously, because time travel, no. But we love to see it. I forgot that I was on my org's account and not my personal one, so I only had 140 buckaroonies to put
Oh
towards.
no.
I had almost 7K on my other one. All
You're
right, well, we
missing the
have ours.
chance.
Yes, I'm missing the chance to just bank on these fools. We have ours from all three of our parties now, so we will be entering Temple of Anubis. Now, Maelstrom did start on defense, which will, you know, give them the opportunity to see what the bench is going to be playing. We can expect Ned on another Junkrat. I've seen them play Junkrat on this map before. I've also seen them play Echo. So I'm just excited to see what we get on the board.
I saw them earlier today in my competitive match playing flexing onto the McCree really easily actually. I think that there's really not a lot of DPS heroes, at least from what I've seen from the Ned, that the Ned doesn't really play. But you are absolutely right. We do see the Ned on the Junkrat. Christian is going to be playing Kree. Kaiser on the Reinhardt and Snake. I called this. Chat, you were here. I said that I wanted to see some of the Queen of Overwatch played here from Snake, and that's exactly what I'm going to get. Jaden Payne, meanwhile, on the Ana, and Donatello on the Brig is an interesting composition, but we've seen this before from Maelstrom. Meanwhile, for the side of the bench, what are we looking at?
It looks like we're running good old double bubble now, except with a Widow instead of the Echo that they had temporarily ago. And Activist is going back on the Junk, which is interesting for an attack. It's a little harder to be successful with Junk on first point attack because even though they're running a double shield kind of situation, they're going to be so spread out. There's not a whole lot of choke ability happening.
Yeah, meanwhile, for the side of the defense, the Ned is going to get a lot of value out of those nades. You can already see it, 20% to that tire. Once again, that free win condition here, and a little bit of a delay here from the bench, looking to just top up their health pool. Zed goes in and gets immediately melted, punished by the pull and the and I think the trap as well from the Ned. That's going to be just more downtime here for the bench.
I'm glad to see our Archivist going to the Tracer. I think that's just a smarter choice. Madsen, someone's got to do something and push forward with the Tracer so that she's just not taken out on her own. They are pushing through under bridge now. It looks like they can't decide which way they want to rotate. Half of them are staying near stage, half of them are going high ground.
I mean, Zed has his work cut out for them, right? On this Winston roll, you want to be careful of absorbing too much damage, and so they're going to be wary of that, dropping the bubble underneath Bin, but you're right, they can't figure out where to go, and it's actually going to end up punishing Aurora there with a nasty anti-nade cast by Jaden Payne onto Zebs as well. Zed, I think, got the nano boost, but wasn't able to get much value out of it. Did find Donatello, so now the fight is actually, it's going to be swingable here, as Jaden Payne and Kaiser both go down. Snake are surrounded by the bench, and we're going to get a first point capture here from our attacking team.
Anyone else noticed, but I noticed Zed got a double melee kill. Like, back-to-back monkey win raging. Now, the one thing that the bench did very smartly is once Zeb got their anti on, they pulled back and waited just a little bit so everyone got their cooldowns back when they came forward. And they go straight into second point. High Noon coming in a huge anti-grab as well. Bongo's coming out to just slow some of this momentum down.
Look at all of these ults being spent here on both teams, and it looks like Maelstrom is coming out on top as a result of that investment there. The Bongo coming in really big here, amplifying so much damage on the side of Maelstrom. I bet Snake is probably up to about 1.3, 1.2k damage amplified just off of that Bongo and the pulse that we've seen this evening.
For sure. Now Snake does change to D.Va for the second part, which makes sense. She's able to contest a little further, a little higher, and able to eat some damage. We do see Ned having his tire and Christian switching over to Doom. Again, you know, switches happening on defense makes sense because these 2 points have very different requirements. Tire coming out.
Oh, fight two. Look at this. Now it's just Maelstrom cleaning up there. Christian trying to look for an opening to use those abilities on Doomfist, but really not much of an opportunity here. Once again, that free win condition, that tire just ended the fight as soon as it began.
Exactly, and we do see Neb switching over to May, which is an interesting pick considering his
engagement here from the bench is going to start with a nano onto Sebs. Zed going critically low it does end up getting topped off. Silvertools finds the final blow onto Kaiser, and we get a DMAC onto Snake. Things are going to start swinging here for the bench. They're going to be able to start building objective progress with the eliminations of Jade and the Ned. That's so much damage and utility out from the side of Maelstrom. Kaiser and Christian would be able to reconnect to the objective. Kaiser going in for the charge, ends up paying for that with their life. And man, 95.8% to objective progress. The bomb comes out from Archivist, ends up getting eaten by Snake. A really good use of the defense matrix there. And we do have a recontest of the objective here from Jaden Payne. Now on the Moira. Meteor Strike coming down, doesn't quite secure anything from the duplicated Madsen here. But we are doing a lot of CC onto Maelstrom. But Maelstrom is emerging victorious in this battle. Donatello finding the final blow to Aurora, and the rest of the team, Christian and the Ned, just cleaning things up. Wow, that swung on a dime.
Yeah, I had muted myself for just a half second. I'm like, oh wow, it's gonna be over before I even get back on. And somehow Maelstrom just pulled it through. We do see another switch by Neb. No fear at all for the ult economy, because when you win a fight like that, it doesn't even matter. We do see the bench pushing forward now, and Anti falling on Kaiser, which makes him hurry back. Lamp already coming out.
Yeah, and we're going to see the beat immediately drop afterwards from Donatello as the Primal Rage comes out from Zed as well. Critically low, has to get topped off before going back in, and that doesn't end up happening as well. The fight started with a really good bio nade onto Kaiser, and now it's going to end here with a bomb down the choke from Snake. Snake is eliminated from that fight. Christian is caught out by Archivist. Kaiser with the pin, the random pin onto Madsen there, as the Ned finds Archivist out of the fight. There's both DPS down here for the bench, but Donatello is out, which means the Saw potential is severely impacted here for Maelstrom. Kaiser goes in for the pin as Zed goes in for the dive, and now it's just a matter of cleaning up Snega, and now Jaden Payne in the Immortality field that they cast on the objective. Aura's just dancing around the objective, not really finding much contest here, and the Nano does come out onto Zed as the grab comes out from Zevs to Kaiser, caught in all of that. Duplicate coming up from Madsen. There's one ult after the other here for the bench, and they're going to capture the objective. Second point with 1 minute and 17 seconds.
Which is a healthy time bank for 2CP. We see Archivist saying Master Chief would be proud. I have to agree.
Initiating match.
Is that a reference to Halo or to a player?
I'm pretty sure it's a reference to Halo, but I don't know Halo enough to continue that reference joke.
Neither do I. I've only played Combat Evolved and Reach. I don't know. But I mean, I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna indulge him. Master Chief absolutely would be proud there. Archivist doing a lot in that particular fight, and even going down in the latter stages of that of just the very beginning of that last fight didn't end up meaning much when the supports Silver and Aurora are just getting so much value out of their kits. So again, we saw Aurora just stay alive for so long, and the Nano onto Zed really made sure that the fight was secured in their favor. So now we're gonna see a little bit of a shift in pace here for the bench. Zed is going to be on Orisa, Zed's on the Sigma. So double shield is going to slow things down a little bit. It's going to slow down this dive, this double bubble composition that we're going to be seeing emerging from Maelstrom.
Now I hope we saw that trap being placed on top of Bridge, expecting either an Echo or a Widow to come out, trying to just stop them so their team can shoot them down. I want to see that happening.
Yeah, I want to see the Ned. I mean, they really helped me out today in my comp game. Okay, they do see the trap. They're gonna get that out of the fight really quick. A good attempt there by Archivist to just play a little bit silly there on the J Silly themselves. We do see the revive from Donatello onto the Ned after being taken out by Madsen, who's playing the Ashe. It's going to be a really good hero for this first point. Lots of chokes to lob down those dynamites and fit in the extra damage. Dive coming in from Kaiser. Doesn't quite connect to the high ground. I think that they're just trying to bait out the cooldowns, wear down the resources, but Jaden Payne gets caught out by a concussion mine from Archivist after being pulled through the choke. So this is going to be a reset here for Maelstrom.
Yeah, they're down one of their tanks as well, and so it just makes sense to pull back and wait a little longer, maybe do a little poke damage from the Echo to get some more charge off, but Archivist is shutting down that, sweep by the Echo. And there she goes! Neb goes down and somehow that res happens, even though that Mercy should not have been able to do that. We see Kaiser jumping the high ground, pushing and fracturing the team out. Ultimately, Archivist does go down to Neb.
Yeah, Archivist trades with Christian the Ned there, but while the revive comes out from Aurora onto Archivist, the revive does not come back from Donatello, equipped with the Valkyrie for this next push. Kaiser tries to contest this high ground, but isn't going to have a really good time doing so, as Donatello gets picked out of that fight, followed by Snake as well. Zed just doing really remarkable work here on the Orisa. Meters past their barrier and still securing those final blows.
And that's what a good Orisa needs to do. They need to pull, they need to clean up every little straggler coming out. Like you said, we're going to have Valk for the next push, but we also have Nano and Primal. However, we have a huge tire coming out by Archivist, right as I was saying what ult they had. They are waiting and trying to push them out before they even make it through the gate.
Missing climbing the walls like it's Spider-Man here, looking for that final blow. Doesn't quite find anything. Just really good rotation coming out there from Maelstrom, playing it out. I think just a little bit of patience from Archivist would have been the key into there. And as the Nano comes out onto Kaiser, we're going to see the Bob emerge from the bench as well. Zed goes down in the chaos, and Kaiser taking control of the high ground from Madsen isn't looking good. It's going to prompt the revive and the Valkyrie from Aurora, bringing Zed back into the fight to control the high ground. It's going to be looking to take out Jaden and Payne here in this choke as the Bongo, the supercharger, comes out, prompting the blade from Christian. Christian's gonna find Zebs as well. Kaiser got Silver out of the fight early, and as Zed and Aurora both go down, the fake tire from the Ned is gonna be looking for another pick on point B.
Yeah, that's almost as terrifying as a real tire coming out from Neb is, you know, a copied Neb.
No, honestly though.
Now we do have Flux and Window coming up for the defense of first or second point, and a lot of swaps coming out on Maelstroms.
Yeah, they're going to be off for this rush composition, and I have to wonder how prepared is the bench to not be run over by this composition.
Yeah, we do see Christian on the Mei, which is an interesting pick for an attack. However, once they get onto that point where so many people stall it out, we see the Flux coming out early, catching half of the team.
Ooh.
And able to shut down Jaden even with him worked down.
Yeah, Jaden Payne goes down in the process. Zebs finds Kaiser as well, says, I don't need to be a main tank to best you on the Sigma. And that's going to be big value out of just that one ultimate that was spent by Zebs. Already 20% to another Flux.
Yes, we do. You know, Window is still on board for the bench. That is going to be great for their defense. However, Tire is going to be up very soon for Archivist. Not a whole lot going on Maelstrom's side, except maybe Bomb if she becomes, if Snakey becomes very aggressive.
Yeah, we're gonna see a little bit of that aggression. Oh, but the immediate punish immediately demegged him, even without the amplification matrix, which has just now been cast on the objective. Kaiser goes in for an aggressive pin, but ends up getting trapped by the trap from Archivist. Silver is gonna find 2 eliminations with the assistance of the amplification matrix onto Kaiser, and Christian, I think, had gone down there. I think it was the early engagement from Snakea. I think that it might have just been a little ambitious, but that was a dry push. They didn't use any ultimates on the side of Maelstrom, and now they're coming into this with a bomb.
Yeah, it's going to be great because they're also going to be close to Blizzard as well. High Noon going to be right behind it. We know how powerful of a DPS Neb is, already up to 80%. Bongo's going to be dropping very, very soon by Neb.
Yeah, it's going to be up to Zed and... yeah, Zed, Nebs, Zebs, it's throwing me off here. But it is going to be on Zed here to get a good use of that fortifying response to the Blizzard and get good value out of that supercharger. See the Transcendence coming out from Aurora in response to the Blizzard there. It does catch Silver out, the amplification matrix, and dropped, eliminated by Christian as the amplification matrix is deployed on point. You got a touch!
Oh, we get a C9 in the chat, boys! And girls.
I don't even know if it was winnable, but Zed, I don't know if they had the Fortify. I think that they had used it, but they definitely had the health pool to touch that objective. I think that was a massive miscommunication, an enormous misplay on the side of the bench to not at least commit to wearing down the time bank that Maelstrom has to work with. Now they're working at an advantage, and that's not something that you want if you are one of the players for the bench. Now you have to fight ever so much harder to come out on top of this map.
Yeah, and there's not that big of a time bank between it, only 30 seconds roughly, and that's not a really make or break situation. A minute is not a lot to get very much accomplished. You know, a minute 30 is not that much longer. It's going to be very hard for them to capture first point successfully, much less second.
especially in a game like Overwatch where, you know, every second, every minute really does count to 10, 20, 30% ultimate charge. The redeployment of one of your cooldowns, the lamp or the armor packs coming out. Ironically, actually, we aren't seeing any Baptiste, but we do see Donatello on the Brigitte. So a pretty sturdy composition here on the side of Maelstrom. They're equipped to defend this first point in its entirety. And here we're going to see, we're not going to see anything quite yet. The double bubble composition that the bench is running here might be a step in the right direction, but they're going to have to be careful of the lethal instances of damage that the Ned, Christian, and Snake are going to be capable of taking. We have Sebs with an early particle barrier onto Self. It doesn't quite get the charge that we were looking for. I mean, Zed goes in hard. The particle barrier coming onto them, and they drop the bubble as well. It looks like the forces of the bench had committed onto that. They do get surrounded. The Ned finds Sebs out of the fight. Silver goes down as well. Kaiser finding the pin finish onto Zed. And Aurora gone for the revive, but ends up getting slept in the process. And now Madsen is just on the high ground with Archivist in the back line, just trying to wear down the forces of Maelstrom. But now it's only Snake on the objective. Donatello manages to retouch, and Christian is looking to fight in the choke as well, trying to get Aurora out of the fight. That's a win condition here for Maelstrom if they're going to continue holding this objective, but I don't think that they'll be able to. Donatello is found out. Christian goes down as well. The Ned ends up just really only feeding there, trying to stall down that time bank. 10 seconds now, 5 remaining here for the bench, and we're going to see them equipped with an additional 30 to take the second point. Look at the ultimates that we're working with here as well. Archivist is going to have the pulse bomb. We're going to have duplicate Nano coming up from Madsen and Silver as well. The Ned is banking on that tire, wanting to make sure that it gets value, while Donatello is only 20% on beat and Jaden 4% to the amplification matrix. The advantage here really does favor the bench in terms of ultimates, but the map favors the defenders, and Snake goes in with Donatello, rewarded with 2 picks onto critical targets. The supports for the bench going down. Aurora and Silver are out of the fight. We have the duplicate coming out from Madsen, immediately taken out of that, and the tire's going to come out from the Ned. Doesn't quite find anything, but it does get Zed critically low, popping the Primal Rage form there. Madsen buys Kaiser and ends up going down in the process, though. The forces of Maelstrom are looking strong at this objective, but the Nano does come back, does come onto Zed, peeling back so that they could just get it. Archivist popping off with the team. The Ned, Snake, and Christian all going down to the pulse, to the pistols of that Archivist wields. Nano goes away from Zed, but the damage has already been done as the bubble comes onto the objective, and the purple lands onto Kaiser. There's not going to be point presence, there's not going to be damage, and there's sure not going to be sustained here for the Maelstrom squad. We have a recontest of attempt here from the Ned, thwarted by Aurora on the Lucio. The high noon is dropped by Christian, drops Aurora out of the fight, and once again, you gotta stay on the point. Aurora picked out of the fight was the only point presence that the bench had, but look, they've captured 33% of objective progress. More so than that, over double, over nearly entire completion. 72% is good to work with. If you're the bench, if you're the defending team coming into this next engagement, you're feeling pretty good about this defense. 143 remaining in the time bank here from Maelstrom, and you know, they've got to be thinking hard about how to engage into this. They've had some strong compositions. I said at the beginning of this last defense round that Maelstrom had that they had a sturdy composition to work with, and this composition that they're opting for, this dive composition with the shutdown potential that Christian has on the Sombra, is going to be really useful for them. Meanwhile, going for just conventional, trustworthy double shield, double barrier composition here for the bench. This is going to be a really interesting engagement, especially here on the first point, which is just conventionally, it's typically hard to defend here if you're the defending team. So once again, all eyes are on Zed, on Archivist, on Madsen, and Silvertall to make sure that they're getting value out of the pulls, the lamps, the dynamites. We're already seeing some of these cooldowns come out just to build a little bit of ultimate charge and get some resources out from Maelstrom. We're seeing engagement here from the Ned onto the high ground that Silver is occupying, trying to go for the stick, doesn't quite find the elimination. Gotta watch out for that damage boost, those damage boosted sticky bombs there. Kaiser goes onto the high ground, is looking for a pick on the Ned, Zed, prompting the immortality field from Silver. Kaiser goes immediately for the support on the back line, so they're going to peel back and get into the mini pack territory. Kaiser kind of looking around, being like, where did he go? Where did Silver go? I want to find them out of this fight, but the Ned says, I've got your back. Let me get Zed, and we'll find Silver eventually. Aurora brings Zed back into this fight, and Zed is going to get Kaiser out as well. Look at this. The forces of Maelstrom are dwindling down as their resources begin to be spent here. The Ned finds Madsen just doing good work here with Donatello on the Mercy, damage amplifying that those abilities, but you know, that's time off the bank that's been worn down, and Christian is coming up on the EMP. We're coming up on ultimates for both sides, so we're going to see a little bit of downtime here from Maelstrom, but not too long. They have 40 seconds to engage, and Donatello finding the pick on Archivist. Okay, that's not the pick you want to see in the kill feed, especially when we're 70% to tire here. We're armed with the EMP and the Boundary, which is allowed by Donatello. EMP comes out onto the objective, hacks both of the tanks. There's no barrier to block the purple. The anti-nade comes in from Jaden Payne, 95% of the nano boost. Donatello finds the mirror pick onto Aurora, and Kaiser finds Silver. This is a cleanup stage now for Maelstrom on the first objective, and it's going to reward them with that first point. They're going to be able to move on to the second objective here with about 30 seconds remaining in the time bank. And once again, all eyes on Zed, on Sebs, on Madsen. Archivist is going to have this tire coming up in 8%. That's going to be one little mine, and they'll be able to have a free win condition. But you got to watch out for this nano coming in from Jaden Payne. We're seeing it go on to Kaiser, looking to engage Snake, caught in the trap as the amplification matrix and the supercharger come out. Flux as well from Sebs after the rock finds the Ned. But look, havoc in the backlines here for the bench, and the bomb finds two. Zed and Aurora both going down. That is not what you want to see light up the kill feed if you are the bench, but the Bob is doing God's work here on the point. Madsen, the Bob getting two. Both of the tanks here, Kaiser and Snake, are both going down. Zed recontesting on the ball. There's no opportunity here for Maelstrom to touch, and our second map will be going to the bench. It's going to be our play of the game. I'm not, it's going to be Sebs, obviously with likely a pretty sizable Graviton Surge. Yeah, 98-100 finds the opening pick onto Jaden Payne there. This was on their attack round, and lobs the grab into a Demacked Christian. A Demacked Snake, Christian catches Kaiser out as well. Kaiser looking to recontest the objective there. Just what a spectacular match here between these two teams. And I think bear with us. We're going to be working with some technical issues, and I think that we should be right back. Yeah, our next map will be going into
We are dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust.
welcome back, everybody. Thanks so much for staying with us, tuning in. I see some pretty strong pretty strong sentiments here in the chat, and I think that we're all ready to jump back into this match. We'll be going into our hybrid map next, and Maelstrom, who lost our 2 CP map, Anubis, is going to have the opportunity to pick their next map. They've opted for Blizzard World, a really fun map where Laurel and I were talking about earlier, opportunities for some really fun various compositions to be run there. So I think that once we get an R from both of these teams, we'll be jumping right in. I'm gonna stick to my guns here and say that the people to watch in this match, particularly for the bench, is once again going to be Zed. It's going to be Maxon, Archivist, and Silver. Not to say that Sebs and Aurora aren't doing really good today, but just some of the fight swings that we've seen have really started. Their origins are in the cooldowns and the ultimates that are being cast by these 4 players in particular. Meanwhile, on the side of Maelstrom, we're gonna get a substitution. I think we're gonna have Strath in on DPS. The Ned is filling in on the support role. So I got to see a little bit of the Ned on DPS today, and now I'm gonna get to see a little bit of support. I won't complain about that. In about 5 seconds, we'll see what these teams are gonna be running composition-wise. I am excited to see Strath back in the game here. And an interesting composition coming out for the defense here, which Maelstrom has opted for the first round. Christian and Strath are going to be pumping out the damage on Ash and Hanzo, Donatello, and the Ned on Mercy and Zen. Truzoi is going to be on the Wrecking Ball, and Kaiser on Sigma. I would have seen this composition like a patch and a half or 2 patches ago. So interesting to see it emerge now. Meanwhile, on the side of the bench, maybe both of these teams have agreed secretly to just meme strategies. A clandestine meeting in the shadows where Archivist says, I'm going to run Bastion if Truzoi plays ball. And Seb says, why do I have to be left out? I'm going to play ball as well. You see Zed on the Roadhog, Matson on the Symmetra, Silver on the... Oh, okay, they're baiting me. They're going to go for the double bubble composition. I was so excited building the narrative there. Take a look at Truzoi hiding in the backlines here. He's looking for a big grapple and a pile drive. He's going to find the connection onto Sebs, knocks him all into the low ground, and is now going to be pursued by Archivist here, while the rest of the bench just kind of waits in the choke here. But the damage boosted Dynamite coming in from Christian sends Zed into critical HP and forces them to drop the barrier as well. So that's damage mitigation and time that they're spending here in the choke. And the recon arrow from Strath is going to reveal the locations of all of the members of the bench here. A dive onto the high ground from Zed is going to be thwarted by the grapple from Truzoi. Aurora brings Archivist back into the fight after being picked out by the pile drive there. It's all it takes is a grapple and a PD to take out a Tracer as Wrecking Ball. The Ned finds Zed out of the fight. So Zed picking the monkey, and now the fight is going to begin to be cleaned up here by Maelstrom. Nothing too exciting happening here, so aside from Christian popping off on the DPS role, finding both of the supports here for the bench. And although we got a little bit inching objective progress here, it's just going to be staggers coming in. It looks like the bench did find both of the supports here, but oh man. I mean, they found both of the supports, so this is an opening. Zed reconnects to the objective. Archivist is going to pump out the damage, has the recall, so is able to stay topped up. Truzoi finds 2, though. Zed and Archivist both picked out of the fight, but Aurora reconnects to the objective in time to bring Zed back in the fight, drops the bubble on the objective. Still no tick yielded on the point, but the nano does come out to Zed. Zed says, this is my time, dies on the high ground, trying to get Donatello, who popped the Valkyrie just to his, who G8'd out of there. And now the Dragons are launched out by Strath, Kaiser, and the Ned, looking to clean up the fight. Yeah, they're going to finish that fight with eliminations onto Matson and Aurora there. A lengthy fight. Look at that, 2 minutes already burned off the time bank here for the bench on their attack, and not even a tick of progress. We're looking pretty good on ultimate economy as well. If you're Maelstrom, we got Transcendence, the Valkyrie, the Bob, and Truzoi with the Minefield. We're going to be have our eyes keenly attached to that. Zed going down early is absolutely terrible here for the bench. You need that main tank presence on the objective, and the Dynamite won't connect onto anything from Christian, but Christian will connect that critical hit elimination onto Archivist. Now Truzoi's going in, just looking for a little bit of extra poke damage, seeing if they can get Aurora out of the fight. Aurora just critically low with no line of sight onto Silver there. And now we're just going to have a lengthy reset period. Already 133 in the time bank here. And we've got ultimates coming up from both sides, so now it's down to who uses it better. We're going to see an engagement. Valkyrie here from Aurora. The Bob and the Gravitic Flux are launched by Maelstrom. The duplicate coming out from Madsen, but Madsen goes down to the Bob from Christian. Aurora's trying to do everything that they can on the Mercy with the Valkyrie, but as the minefield comes up inside and outside the bubble, it's going to separate Zed from the objective, which is where they want to play after picking Srath out of the fight. Donatello without the revive, but won't be able to bring them back in, so we're just going to have to wait for that sixth member of Maelstrom to reconnect. Dynamite onto the bubble doesn't do the damage that Christian was looking for it to do, and the Nan onto Zed is going to find Christian out of the fight. High energy Zeds is going to microwave Kaiser, taking them out, and the recontest by Truzoy ends up yielding an elimination on themselves. So now, finally, the bench with 30 seconds of the time bank will finally be able to capture this first objective. This is good for them. All they needed was to capture that first point. One of these 2 CP rules maps, and so you know it's got the best parts of the escort map are gonna play to the advantage here for the bench. Revive from Aurora onto Sebs though, and I think that's going to stabilize them here as they look to contest the high ground. Donatello's still equipped with that Valkyrie. Srath is going to have another Dragon. Got to be watching out for that. So far the bench is just playing the low ground, trying to do some poke damage, look for an opportunity to engage here. Truzoy with a pile drive in the backlines, finds, connects onto 3. And Archivist goes down again, looking for those picks onto Christian, but won't be able to find it there. Christian getting Zed as well. Graviton Surge comes out onto the high ground, but it's not going to yield any eliminations. And Truzoy goes for another power drop onto Sebs, who's now separated from the rest of the team. We have Silver trying to keep Sebs topped off, but it's a lost cause. You've got to back out now if you're the supports for the bench, and especially with the okay, no, I was hearing Madsen as the Ashe in the backline, so now we're gonna have a reset for the bench. Look at these ultimates, though. I mean, nearly 6 ults in the bank for Maelstrom. They're gonna be coming into this fight really, really strong. Meanwhile, we have the Bob, the Pulse Bomb, the Nano, the Valkyrie, and the Primal Rage coming up for the bench, so it might be an even fight. Once again, it's down to whoever uses those ults first, whoever uses them smarter, and the smart play might not be to fight for the side ground as the minefield comes out on, and the Dragons as well. Doesn't yield any eliminations, but Zed, looking to engage, goes down to the damage amplified Hyperspheres from Kaiser. Aura is caught out as well by Truzoy, and this is just more reset time as Srath finds Archivist. Archivist has gotta stop dying over there in Mongolia or wherever they're trying to push from. We need the DPS fighting Kaiser and Truzoy, peeling for the supports here. We're working with 5 ultimates in the bank. There's no reason at this point, if I'm one of the players for the bench, that we lose this. Now, Maelstrom looking strong with the Gravitic Flux and the Bob. They're going to be looking to combo those, and they'll have the Transcendence ready for whatever offensive utilities do come out from the bench. Coming up on potentially last teamfight territories, 40 seconds on the bank, and Bob does come out from Madsen. Flux in response will not yield the eliminations they were looking for. Aura going critically low is still going to get away with a revive onto Sebs. Archivist does find the Ned. Wasn't able to pop that Transcendence in time or to save themselves. And now Truzoy is just duking it out with Sebs. Going to go for the power drive, the adaptive shields, and then get out of there. Zed in the meantime has found Srath out of the fight, so finally we can get some objective progress here. Zed gets Donatello as well, so once again, Zed's doing really good work here on the main tank role, zoning out the supports, finding those final blows, those eliminations, and is now going to have to back out and just fortify the objective with their presence. Pulse Bomb onto Archivist, Pulse Bomb from Archivist will connect on Christian, and already a man disadvantage and down a resource here as Donatello brings them back to the fight. Transcendence from the Ned is going to fortify presence on the objective. Bench, you've got to touch. Aurora pops the Valkyrie and touches the objective, brings Zed back into the fight, and now Sebs is surrounded. Ned looking for that final blow onto the particle barrier. Zarya is going to end up working against them. The Graviton Surge comes down, traps Truzoy, who lobs the minefield, looking to zone out the objective. Isn't going to quite get away with that. It's going critically low as Donatello uses the Valkyrie to get that extra little bit of healing out. Srath and Truzoy, however, on the ropes here, but you got to pick this Mercy out. Donatello is living for way too long, and Christian is reconnected to the high ground, connects a Dynamite onto the backlines of the bench. Zed finds Truzoy out of the fight. Donatello's gone now, so there's the win condition fulfilled, but there's only 3 members here of the bench remaining on the point. The Ned goes in as Moira, lots of damage orb, and Kaiser finds Sebs out of the fight. That's not what you want to see. Archivist is duking it out with the Ned on the objective, does find that final blow, and Zed has popped the Primal Rage, trying to knock anyone that they can off the objective. but the nano to Zed. Oh, stay on the point. The overtime would almost melted down there. Kaiser went for the gravitic flux, didn't find anything, end up finding their death actually as Aurora reconnects to the point as Lucio finally, the bench will be able to capture the second point, but with only a minute and a half remaining in the time bank, it's going to be a difficult push around not one, but two corners here. And down the perilous last phase of any of these hybrid maps, it's just going to be a long and hard fights ahead of us for the bench. Looking at the ultimate economies, we have Archivist with the Pulse Bomb, Christian with the Bob. We see a swap from Zenyatta onto Baptiste. I think gradually Maelstrom is swapping back towards this rush-based composition. It's something that I've seen them do very well on, but is it going to be good enough to thwart this double bubble comp, or will this be their downfall? Truzoy will probably swap soon. Just trying to get that power drive, get that minefield out. Bob does come out from Christian. He's going to zone out a little bit of space, force Zed backwards a little bit, doesn't quite yield any eliminations. In fact, will give Zebs a little bit more energy to work with. Re-engagement onto the point, particle barrier onto Zed is going to clear out some space, force Kaiser back, but remember, we're working with a minefield for Truzoy, and Strath is in the back lines of the bench, looking for that early pick. Stun comes onto Truzo, doesn't yield anything. Look at Strath, he's being super sneaky there as the minefield comes out onto the objective. Strath goes in for the stun, finds it onto Silver and gets them out of the fight. Duels Aurora as well. Donatello gets the final blow there, and Kaiser is just battling Zed. 14 seconds in the bank, and the bench have to kind of back out and reset. Archivist does find Truzoy as well, and now it's all on Sebs to touch the objective and launch that Graviton Surge. 3 seconds, and the bench's comms is, do we have a touch? Do we have a touch? Archivist manages to touch, trigger the overtime. Wick, Graviton Surge comes up onto the high ground onto Christian and Donatello, who both end up falling as well, and then onto the Zed, ends up doing enough damage to get Kaiser out of the fight. Gotta watch out for this Strath on the Kree though. Taking the high ground, and Sebs finds them as well. A beautiful touch from Archivist and really good use of the Graviton Surge from Sebs, not just lobbing into the midline, but on the high ground that the supports and Christian on the Ash were occupying. We see a swap from Christian looking to slow things down. This double bubble composition with Mei, and a re-engagement from Zed, and a particle barrier onto them is once again going to open up some space. Shattering Amplification Matrix cast on the side of Maelstrom, as well as the high noon coming out. Big purple from Silver, but it's not going to be enough. Strath finds 3. That's going to be the closeout of our first round. The attack round here for the bench going well enough, but not quite as efficient as we were hoping for. So, you know, these two CP maps on wheels, these hybrid maps that start as an assault game mode and turn into an escort, they swing on a dime. It's not lost here for bench. Ideally, once again, you want to capture that third objective, but look at how close the cart was to that finish line. So the bench, all they need to do is hold first point. If they can't hold first, hold second. And if they can't hold second, then they've got a pretty good shot at holding third as well. We'll see momentarily what composition they opt to use as a tool to stop the progress of Maelstrom. Once again, this double bubble composition is really interesting to me, and the bench is demonstrating their proficiency on this particular comp as well. Archivist on the Tracer will hopefully die a little bit less this time, work in those instances of damage, especially onto Truzoy, who is really just making so much space on the tank roll. Meanwhile, on the side of Maelstrom, they're saying, you know, no funny business, no silly compositions, no Sigma Ball, which was again strong, maybe in early 2021. They're going just conventional and safe rush-based composition to see if they can just roll over the forces of the bench here. Madsen already with an 8% ult charge lead, I think off the back of a pretty good dynamite, or maybe just a clean shot there. Is going to be occupying the high ground. Archivist possibly looking for an early elimination in the backlines of Maelstrom, but they kind of have to be careful because they're playing as a cluster composition here. It's difficult to get some damage that will actually penetrate the damage mitigation potential that Kaiser and Truzoy represent for this Maelstrom squad. There's Archivist going down early in this fight to Strath. Just ever on the lookout there for Archivist on the Tracer. And Tracer just a flimsy hero walking into a rush composition, especially alone. Finally, the fight breaks out on the objective, and Madsen is the first to go. It's the second one to go down. Critical hit from Christian ends up taking them out. Ned finds Sebs. I mean, there's nothing to see here, ladies and gentlemen, except for Kaiser with the double fire strike kill onto Aurora and Silvertails, and a quick capture of the first objective. 5.5 minutes remaining is solid. If you're Maelstrom, you're feeling pretty good about these next couple of fights.
Thank you. Hey.
We have the Amplification Matrix and the Deadeye as well from the Ned and Strath coming up very shortly. Christian, it's only going to be a matter of time until they have the Blizzard, and the bench is just looking for every opportunity that they can take to deny those resources, deny that extra ult charge from Maelstrom. But Maelstrom, they poke at that high ground and they say, look, we've got what we came for. The Ned has the Amplification Matrix, Strath has the High Noon, and that's all we wanted. We'll fight the objective, and you have to come to us, and that's exactly what we're going to see. Zed do popping the barrier and the particle barrier coming out onto them as well. High Noon from Strath doesn't quite secure anything, but they are still going to advance the payload. Sebs gets caught out of the fight, and the Nano onto Zed. It doesn't matter. He gets melted out of the fight. Aura's looking to contest here, and Archivist on the Sombra looking to shut down any aspect of this composition, but look at Strath and the Ned lighting up the kill feed with those picks. I don't even know if there's going to be an opportunity to contest the second objective here. We did have Archivist looking to stall it out a little bit, only 32% to that EMP there, and 4 ultimates on the side of Maelstrom is looking really strong coming into this next attack. Zed re-engaged onto the objective. Blizzard does come out from Christian. The bomb finds, from Truzoy, finds Sebs as well, and that's a second point capture. The bench is on the ropes here, and managing to scrape by with eliminations onto the Ned and Truzoy. Definitely getting aggressive there onto the remaining forces of the bench, but ultimately it's no skin off their backs. They have their spawn is right there, and look, they're playing so close, so clumped up together that it's going to be hard once again to work in an instance of damage. This is where if I'm the bench, I'm wanting to swap to this rush-based composition myself, but Zed has the Primal Rage and Sebs is coming up on the Graviton Surge, so we need to use those first at least. Zed is going to find the Ned on the high ground there. Truzoy quick with the peel there. Shatter does come out from Kaiser. I don't think he'll find anything though. Strath pops the High Noon as the beat sustains him on the objective, looking for those picks. Isn't going to quite find anything, but look at Sebs cornered in by Truzoy on the mini pack. Is going to be barely kept up by Aurora as the Graviton Surge results in the eliminations of actually only Christian. Matson went for the duplicate onto the enemy McCree and goes for the High Noon onto Donatello, and with that, that's our first team fight that was really truly won here by the bench. They're going to be able to stabilize, but on the backs of those 3 ultimates. Meanwhile, Maelstrom committing plenty into that fight as well, so both teams looking relatively even here. Maelstrom with their momentum and the bench with those ultimates. Another nano onto Zed as he engages into this corridor here. Gonna get walled off. Strath finds Sebs trying desperately to break that wall, get their main tank out, but Zed was okay. Could have just walked around to the other side and not made yourself available for the damage onto Sebs. Sebs revived, wondering why they were brought back into that fight instead of coming out from the spawn with the rest of the team. Strath gets Silver out of the fight, and Aurora is the last one picked, trying just to get back to the spawn doors. The bench needs to get back 3.5 minutes, a little over, and the cart is rounding that last corner. We're entering last team fight territory, and we need to make something happen, but with 4 ults on the side of Maelstrom, it's going to be really hard. Amplification Matrix is deployed by Maelstrom as the bomb is lobbed as well. The EMP, big EMP, but bigger bomb! Truzoy gets floor with it and gets the remake kill onto Zed! It's going the way of Maelstrom, and they're going to be able to capture the 3rd point effortlessly on this map. Oh, Poco Bomb! That is what we are seeing in the match chat right now from Laurel. Massive play of the game here from Truzoy. You love to see big diva bombs, especially if you play a little bit of diva like myself, but can never seem to make her ultimate work. EMP not working out there for the bench, and there's the bring-back kill onto Zed. I love to see it. I know that that's a controversial change. I know that there's a lot of people who are like, this remake change is so dumb. It opens up some really cheeky instances of gameplay here for Diva. But for me, it's all about fun factor. That's what Diva's all about. But not when Truzoy's playing Diva. When Truzoy's playing Diva, it's all business. And that's exactly what we got to see in that play of the game. All that being said, we're now, I think it's 2-1 now. Maelstrom leading the series against the bench. Need to secure 2 more maps to emerge as the grand champions of the upper division for Prospect eSports Showdown Season 3. We'll be going into our next map here shortly. It's going to be our escort map. Choices are Rialto, Dorado, and Watchpoint Gibraltar. Should be really interesting to watch these teams duke it out on maybe maps that are a little bit more straightforward than some of the maps that have this assault variant to them. Like I've said it many times before, these hybrid maps are kind of like 2CP on wheels. It's very difficult. It's less It's really I'm just fumbling for words here. It's really just a little bit more challenging to play. That being said, we do see some swaps coming out from Maelstrom. We're gonna have Christian on tank, Truzoy on DPS now. So just swapping out some roles here between the members of Maelstrom. The bench just staying true with the same 6 players here. It looks like no swaps coming into them, and I think that we will be heading into a I think that we'll be heading into a break here shortly.
Yeah, we will be seeing that 10-minute break. I will be reading the ads that we have on the board for you guys. Sorry, I had to skedoodle. I saw that amazing Poco Bomb. I saw it. I ate it and I had it for dinner.
It's so beautiful. You love to see those.
For sure. Now, I am just trying to make some sense of where we are now that I am back 100%, because there's swaps. You know, they've done some off-roll swaps. And our producer had to run out really quickly, and then we will have that ad break up. Now, we are going into Gibraltar next, which I'm expecting to see a lot more double bubble.
We are dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust.
Up on the board as well, because we already know that the bench is very comfortable with double bubble. And you know, they have been rocking it non-stop. Now Maelstrom, I'm expecting to see a little bit more of dive with a diva, maybe, but we are having difficulty speaking right now. It's just been one of those days. I'm kind of nursing a migraine on top of this, and I had to go run out to chat with Brian about some things. And we are ultimately just waiting for everybody to be ready.
Well, hey, that yielded plenty of space for me to just go nonstop. If you know me well enough, you know that that's something I absolutely love doing. But more importantly than that, I love watching good Overwatch played, and that's exactly what we've gotten to see here between these two teams. You're absolutely right. We will invariably see more of the double bubble composition from the bench. Maelstrom, I'm hoping to see more of this diva dive, or at least see the diva in gameplay for Maelstrom, as we do have the substitutions. They're all swapping around, it seems, actually. Snake is coming back in. Kaiser will be on the tank. Truzoy Christian on DPS. Donatello is the mainstay support here, it seems. And Michael will be coming back in for the Ned, who will be on the bench here for the first game for Maelstrom this series.
So we do have that little break. Even if you want to take a big swig of water, we are going to have that 10-minute break. You definitely have earned it, buddy. I would just like to quickly take this time to, for one, add an ad break, because you know we need that money. Sorry, Prime subscribers, you don't have to watch that ad. But we do have on the board Apollo eSports Summer Community Cup. I am one of the co-owners of Apollo, and we are returning this summer for our Summer Cup. There will be 2 divisions, 3,200 and below, and our upper, which is 3,200 and above. There will be prizes that include stickers and vinyls for the top 3 teams for both divisions. It's a best of 5 for the competition. It's not a best of 7 for the finals. I need to get them to correct that. It will be double elimination, however, and it does run May 30th to July 2nd, so a little over a month there. Mostly, some teams will have bye weeks. Definitely follow us on our Twitter, Apollo Esports, or join our Discord, which is on that link. You can always DM me, Laror, for that invite if you don't want to type that out. Signups will be by May 28th. We will do live draft picks on the 29th on our Twitch. I think that does it for Apollo. Let us get Star City up on the board. Now, Star City Summer Solstice Showdown is an upcoming tournament open to NA teams with a peak SR below 4,000. But not to fear, if your team isn't quite up to 4,000, other divisions will be there to allow teams of lower skill levels to participate. Registration opens May 12th and runs until the first week of June. Matches run on the 29th, or excuse me, the 19th and 20th of June. This tournament will be a round-robin style seeding day, followed by a second day of double elimination knockout playoffs. The team that take home first for each division will be entitled to a coin commemorating the event for each member of their roster, as long as you pay for shipping. Please, please, please check out Star City Esports on Twitter and their Discord link on the ad page for more information. I'm sure you guys can also message Nikki if you need that invite too, because if you're like me, sometimes your typing skills ain't the best. So let's move right along to Squid Squad Esports. I love this organization. We have Doge up on the board because we don't have a graphic for them, but they are running the Calamari Cup. How cool is that? This is their first year. I don't have a blurb for their tournament, but I do have a blurb for their original Squid Squad Esports. Squid Squad is a friendly, welcoming org with a huge amount of community outreach, and our server is home to several teams for multiple games. We organize weekly pugs, throw anime movie watch parties, host game nights, and much more. Regardless of why you join, there will be certainly something for everyone, and we are always open to making new friends. They are running their first Calamari Cup this year, and I believe they said, let me pull this up on our Alliance page, because Squid Squad is one of the Alliance members of Prospects and Apollo. We're all in an Alliance together. They will be running sometime in mid-June. So I just wanted to pull that up. And they'll be starting from Overwatch, but they will eventually be going into Valorant and League, if not straight from the get-go, because this is a multi-game league. Calamari Cup already has 20 members signed up, and this just dropped today. Very exciting stuff. On the board, we have Invest in Dogecoin, because that is always something that our Prospect Esports owner Brian strongly believes in. Invest, invest, invest smartly, educatedly, and as early and as often as humanly possible. Doge creeped up to 0.72 this week. Make sure you buy during dips and hold to the moon. Now, when we get back from our break, I'm not quite sure how much of that 10 minutes that I ate up, we will be back to see Maelstrom versus the Bench. And I think Nikki, my corgi, has something to say about that exciting matchup.
We are dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust. Search but you stay lost. We are reaching for the stars, but we're making this too hard. And I wonder where you are. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Maybe you should take it slow.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks so much for bearing with us through that brief break that we had, and be sure to check out all those different organizations, those tournaments. We definitely have those up there for a reason, so that you guys get exposed to some more great Overwatch, great opportunities to play Overwatch, and hopefully reconnect with some of these teams, some of these players, to watch them play in some of these other tournaments where it's a lot different from tournament to tournament. You've got great matchups that I'm sure are going to happen. So be sure to check all those out. Be sure to invest as well, like Laura said. However, going back to the match today, we're 2-1 between Maelstrom and the bench. Looking pretty strong for Maelstrom, because the bench lost Blizzard World. They'll be able to choose our next match, our next map, which is going to be Watchpoint Gibraltar, our escort map, which I was talking a little bit before the break. It's just a little bit more straightforward of an endeavor to capture all three of those objectives, or hold all three of those objectives. One of the calls that I've made many times in my own competitive games is that the first point on escort, the full hold of that objective, is not a complicated endeavor. And so we might possibly see a full hold from either of these teams, but I don't want to see a full hold from these teams. I want to see them go all the way. If we're going to see full holds, I want it to be on the second attack round or the second defense round for both these teams. I want to see them push it all 3 points. I want to see that double bubble coming in strong from the bench. I want to see the dive coming in good from Maelstrom. Snake up back in the lineup here from Maelstrom might mean that we get that Orisa gameplay. She's not a bad pick depending on the map, but I'm not holding my breath. Orisa on Watchpoint Gibraltar is a little strange as far as main tanks go. I'd be much more comfortable if I was on the Maelstrom squad to see Winston leading the charge there. So here, once we get ready from both of our teams, I think that we'd be jumping right into this next map, Watchpoint Gibraltar. Team for the bench is actually still going to be the same, and for Maelstrom, they will, like I said earlier, Snake and Kaiser on the tank. Truzoy is going to be on DPS with Christian, Donatello, Michael on support. So as we get into this next match, be sure to cast your predictions here shortly as far as who will win this fourth match between these two teams. I think that this is where the double bubble composition is going to really shine for the bench. I think that they have a really good opportunity to even up the series and make it last even a little bit longer. Get us some good Overwatch to watch this evening. A good opportunity for you guys to build up those channel points and also to have bragging rights over all your friends and contemporaries. Say, yeah, I knew that the bench was going to win it with their double bubble composition, their star tank lineup, and Zed and Sebs here for this match. So be sure to cast those predictions once that goes up. And now I think shortly we'll be heading into this match. Once again, I'm gonna have to stress all eyes on Zed, Sebs, Matson, and Silver to control the pace of this match for the bench. Definitely looking for Archivist to die a little bit less. We saw a little bit too much of him on the opposite side of the kill feed on Blizzard World, so I'm hoping to see that work out a little bit better for them, hopefully on the DPS role. I'm sure that there'll be more than a match, though, for Truzoy and Christian on this map. Might favor their hero, their hero pool just a little bit more. What do you think, Laura? Who do you think is going to emerge victorious on Watchpoint Gibraltar?
Now, I have had quite a distracting environment recently, and I feel so bad for these two teams not being able to get my full attention. Now, I do have to agree that Archivist has been dying a bit much, but Silver and Aurora have just been really banging it out as supports. We do see Neku back in, and we do know that they can be impressive. Now, Snakeu's strength, from what I remember, is more on Ryan than on dive, which Jib kind of requires more of a dive or a double bubble. But we do have both teams being R, so we will be moving into Watchpoint Gibraltar.
Not necessarily one of my personal favorite maps, but not my least favorite either. Dorado's definitely takes the cake for my personally weakest map, regardless of the role that I play here. I'm glad that I'm not seeing any of that map tonight. Instead, I get some nice, exciting, just launch day map like Watchpoint Gibraltar, where once again you can run a myriad of compositions here. So here in about 10 seconds or so, we'll be able to see what kinds of tools and utilities are going to be utilized by both of these teams to accomplish all three objectives, whether it's holding them or conquering them.
Yeah, I'm excited to see maybe some. Oh, and I get an Echo Mercy coming out, an Echo C, as we lovingly nicknamed it the other day.
Huh.
And we see Hog, which I don't know if that's a debate or not, but you know what? I'm down for it.
Zed, Sabs, and Archivist have been trolling me just a little bit tonight with a Bastion on Attack Blizzard World. I'm sure that they're trolling me, or maybe Zed on the Roadhog is the linchpin to success here for the bench squad. Meanwhile, the double bubble composition is not going to be taken up by the bench. It's going to be instead emulated from Maelstrom. So, I mean, if they full hold the first point with the composition that the bench is so capable of running, that's going to be curious to me.
Yeah, now we do see a TP coming into play. Not quite sure what that was for. I guess they moved their Brig over, and that is it. Zeb already has projected bubble on him to be able to fight Kaiser in this little bridge area. And they are pushing the cart forward, uncontested for the most part.
Yeah, it's going to be able to round this first corner and possibly be able to go into the valley, but you got to watch out for all the damage that's going to be raining down from this high ground. Seb's going in for the personal particle barrier, build up a little bit of energy, but watch out for the damage raining in from Truzoy and the damage amp onto them from Donatello. Seb's is going to engage onto the high ground, just looking for a little bit of poke, get some more ultimate charge, drops the bubble up there as well. Kristen lobs the dynamite in response, already 73% to that bob. It's going to be really good. As the cart comes from underneath the valley, we're going to have all of the forces of the bench on high ground, and Truzoy actually finds Zed first blood in this fight. Madsen finds the mirror matchup in Christian, brought back into the fight by Donatello. No mercy on the side of the bench to bring Zed back into the fight. He's gonna have to make a long walk back from the spawn, a long jump, I suppose, if you're playing Monkey. Madsen finds Christian again. Ooh, that is sick. Madsen getting them twice in a row, saying, yeah, Donatello, bring him back for me. I'll take him out one last time. And now the dynamites from Madsen are going to be big onto Truzoy, just kind of forcing them off as the high ground is occupied here by the bench. He's going to make an aggressive dive on a Michael. Archivist goes down in this fight, and the Valkyrie does come out from Donatello, but body blocks Zed found themselves in a bad engagement there, and now we're going to see the bench really reset.
Yeah, now Michael, I do want to say that Silvertail had his ult when Michael was only at 50%. Silver really raining down, not just healing, but damage as well. Ultimately, that is why our Archivist had stopped pushing the cart with Silvertail pushing in. Now we do see Nano coming out onto Zed, trying to clear the high ground, and he is successful. We hear Copy coming out as well.
Zed briefly slept on the high ground there. Is finally going to find that final blow onto Michael. Is going to pop the Primal Rage and get onto the objective. As Truzoy with the duplicate Monkey is going to find the jump back kill onto Silver. Rally does come out from Aurora, just fortifying the defenses on the objective here as Madsen continues to rain damage onto the objective. Finds the duel against Truzoy. Is ultimately going to be assisted though. Archivist got a really good stick from a pulse bomb. I think that was onto Truzoy or Kaiser. I can't even remember. That fight happened really quickly, but ultimately will yield the first objective here for the bench with a time bank that doesn't look too bad.
Tail doing their duty to top off their DPS and tanks on the high ground, but ultimately is holding the cart with Aurora. Which makes sense that the two supports are holding together while their DPS and tanks are kind of clearing this high ground. We hear Nano coming out as well by Michael.
Yeah, and onto Kaiser, no less, is going to amplify the damage done there as the Graviton Surge is launched onto the high ground. It's going to catch Sebs on the other side of the wall. Ultimately, Archivist will punish Truzoy for that aggressive push trying to get that off-tank out of the fight, and the cart will continue to progress uncontested around the second to last corner.
This is just tremendous momentum built on from the bench. We see high ground being taken by Maelstrom, or it looks like they start to take it. It seems like Echo and Tracer is going on the off angles. They're taking a little too long to start to push this rotation, though, and Cart is almost touching.
I mean, look at all of these ults that are being locked as well. We have the Graviton Surge on the high ground from Sebs, and the Bob coming out as well. Donatello pops the Valkyrie and is going to be able to amplify the damage as well as keep Truzoi in this fight. Truzoi will find eliminations onto Aurora and is looking for that final blow onto Silver. Doesn't quite find it. Taken out of the fight by Sebs. As Sebs gets Donatello as well. Nano boost onto Zed is going to amplify more damage and really make sure, hammer home that this fight is going to be the bench's victory. His Pulse Bomb comes out from Christian, doesn't quite connect it. Once again, Sebs comes in clutch with another critical pick. We have a recontesting the ejector here. Truzoi 98% to the duplicate. That's what they were banking on, and now with a time bank of 3.5 minutes, the bench will continue their forward momentum into third point.
Maelstrom has alt economy on their side. They have Michael's Nano on board soon, as well as Primal and Copy, of course, already being there. Whereas on the bench, we only have Pulse Bomb. Now, Pulse Bomb alone can shut down a big push, especially once we head towards final push. We see Copy coming out.
Yeah, Truzoi duplicating the monkey there. Mean Anti-Need actually almost gets him out of duplicate form. They pop the Primal Rage just in time. Matson trying to deliver the damage there. Sebs gets knocked back into the old spawn, or the new spawn rather, for... Oh, look at that pulse bomb! Archivist gets both of the supports, Michael and Donatello both out of the fight. Now it's go time here for Zed. Pops the Primal Rage onto a winless Kaiser there. And now Truzoi actually has to peel for the tank, but doesn't quite get there in time. With Christian running for their life as well. Now it's grouped up in spawn here. Maelstrom will have one last fight, one last potential a retake of this objective, and the Graviton Surge is not going to bode well for them, as well as the Nano onto Zed is going to amplify more damage going into that. Grab's going to tether onto 1, 2, 3 members of Maelstrom. Kaiser, Christian, Michael both go down. The Nano onto Snake is not going to be enough to keep them in this fight, and even though Silver is out of the fight, Truzoi and Donatello collapsing just outside spawn is not going to be what Maelstrom needs. Christian tries to come back, it's taken out by a whip shot from Aurora, and that is it for this first round.
What speed? We have 2 minutes and 10 seconds on a time bank, which is, you know, a first for me. We are used to this map being a claw, a slow grind down to OT, and pretty much one ultimate gets it in the bank for them, but the bench just really pushed hard and strong this entire time and used their ultimates in a very smart way.
Well, especially Laurel, I mean, how many times have you played Watchpoint Gibraltar that you and your team just get utterly stymied on the second objective, right? It's the streets phase of these maps that are so that can be so so tedious to crawl through. So we can describe this kind of map in particular as kind of a slow crawl, a grind to take each objective, arduous team fight after the next. It's you're absolutely right, but the bench just showing us that this double bubble composition it works to all of their strengths. The aggression from Sebs, the tenacity and discretion from Zed. That's why I'm telling you guys to keep your eye on the tanks for the bench. Silver and Aurora, like you called out, backing them up the entire time. I think that this is going to be a tough fight for Maelstrom. For those of you who predicted that the bench was going to lose this next match, you might be rethinking at this time. And with them running this double bubble composition themselves, this dive composition really with Truzoi on the Genji and Christian on the Echo, I'm curious about how this is going to play out.
Yeah, maybe they are hoping to be able to dive Aurora and Silvertail, you know, faster than the bench could turn around and support for them. That being, you know, their strong backup is really what does give them a bunch of benefit in the way that they play double bubble.
Yeah, and they're going to have to watch out for Matson as well, occupying this high ground. If you don't contest the supports, you lose. If you don't contest Matson, you lose. And Truzoi knows that. They're going to go in after Matson, but the peel from Zed is so strong, it's going to result in an elimination onto Truzoi. And even though they trade, Matson is going to be coming back sooner than we know it. In the meantime, the cart is advancing through Valley. It's going to work its way underneath the high ground, and we'll see the rotation here coming out from the bench as they look to contest. Michael just kind of waiting for the opportunity to peel back and back out of this fight. Zed engaging onto Kaiser. Truzoi coming to back him up. The particle barrier protects Zed, and the nano boost is going to mean that he goes in hard. Anti-Nade Blade onto Truzoy and Kaiser, I think, thwarted them briefly. Truzoy goes down in the process. Snake and Kaiser just have to turn around to deal with this menace that is Zed on the Winston. Look at him. He goes in, he gets a kill, he gets back out. And now I think that we're going to see Maelstrom kind of reset here briefly.
And before all of the craziness that Zed pushed in on, we got a huge anti-out by Silver. You know, Silver has just been a dream on Ana.
Yeah. And they'll continue to put in work already, you know, they're working, I'm sorry, I was looking at Michael's ultimate percentage, and that we're going to have to watch out for that nano. Donatello popping the Valkyrie and the duplicate coming out from Christian. Duplicates the Zed's Winston there. Goes for the backlines. We have now Christian on Silver, trying to get them out of the fight. As Archivist finds Michael out with a pulse bomb. Sebs gets Truzoy, and now there's two Primal Raging in the backlines, but Christian's forced out a duplicate form and promptly eliminated. Zed finds Donatello with the Primal Rage elimination, and that's it for this push from Maelstrom.
Yeah, they may stagger Snakeu just a little bit, but it does look like he regains. Actually, I take that back. They are able to stagger Snakeu, even from the safety of being in the middle of his team. On Maelstrom, we still have that Nano and Blade, so you see that this is going to be coming up, I'm assuming, in this next push. I'm just calling the Nano Blade right now, and we're going to see it probably on the squishies, you know, the Ashe or the Ana. Let's see if they can get their flashbang, or not their flashbang, their coach gun or their sleeps off.
And Archivist with the Pulse Bomb is going to be looking to thwart any kind of potential push as well. Now, Silver going down is not the pick that you want to see, and it's one less squishy for Truzoy to get out of the fight. Truzoy finds the second in Aurora there as well. Looking for that third as Sebs gets Michael out of the fight. Protecture supports Maelstrom, but Maelstrom is still looking strong in this objective as we get an aggressive dive onto Madsen, resulting in the elimination of that DPS player. It's just Zed and Archivist. This is a familiar scene that we've seen many times before, and the Graviton Surge is expended to make sure that Zed gets out of this fight. Silvertails is being contested. Oh man, picked out of the fight so quickly. You did not want to block out a spawn there, Silver. That was just a little bit delayed. I would have been resetting here for second point. I mean, they used ultimates. Maelstrom used ultimates to win that fight, and we had ults going into that fight, but the bench is working with 3 minutes to defend the second point.
They definitely have time on their side for the Maelstrom. However, the ult economy is just juicy right now. We have Graf, we have Bob, and we have the Nano back on target. Zed taking out Truzoy, shutting down any push. Bob coming out to contest Cart, but does get slept. Doesn't matter, he's still contesting his movement. It can't move any forward.
Zed finds Donatello as well and pops the Primal Rage in the Mega Pack room. Kaiser goes down to the damage from Archivist, and the Dynamite is pretty big onto Christian and Snake. It's going to thwart them out of that room, and it's going to leave Madsen pretty uncontested here, looking for the elimination onto Truzoy on the objective. Zed's going to be able to dip out, and although we won't see kind of a true reset, we are going to see kind of a soft group up, and now a team fight breaks out here in the Mega Pack room. Bomb comes out, but the particle barrier from Snake isn't going to be enough to keep Michael on the fight. Christian goes down as well, and the Bob from Christian does get Silver out of the fight, but the fight is still strong here for the bench, holding this high ground and really putting Maelstrom at a disadvantage as Truzoy goes down to a melee finish from Archivist. I mean, Maelstrom, what are you doing? You're bleeding time off the time bank. You're not protecting your supports. Meanwhile, we're looking at Zed and Sebs pumping out the damage, securing eliminations onto critical targets.
Yeah, when I saw the Bob in that small room, I was scared for the bench. That is exactly where you don't want a Bob to be, in a tight room that you can't escape on. But the bench turned it around very quickly, only really losing Silver at the end. And Silver is going to be back with their team already with absolutely no issue at all. We see the Nano Blade coming out.
The Graviton Surge! Sebs was ready for it, thwarting the Nano Blade. Now Truzoy does still get Aurora out of the fight, 95% to the rally. You didn't want to die there, but Bob from Madsen finds Christian after getting a Dynamite finish onto Donatello. And the high ground is maintained here by Maelstrom. And Snake throws the grab, but not into the forces of the bench, but into the bubble that was left behind by Zed. Archivist gets Michael out of the fight. Snake goes down, and this is another reset for Maelstrom. But look at this time bank and the ultimate economy. Laurel how is this next team fight going to work out for Maelstrom?
You know, I don't see a lot on the board that's going to be working in their favor. They really only have Val, maybe Primal if Kaiser gets it on, gets it on gear. We do see Truzoy going onto Symmetra, but Symmetra may be too little too late because it does take her time to build her EMP. Her hacks are not going to be that much game changing.
I mean, maybe deleting one or two of those particle barriers might work out well. Sebs is actually on the ropes here, has to back up, prompts the rally out from Aurora just to keep the team sustained here. Oh, damage boosted Kaiser ends up going down to a purple from Silver. Silver's been on point with those purples, and even though Donatello brings Kaiser back into the fight, the nano boost onto Zed is going to really burn through that primal rage, and another anti-nade up to Kaiser is going to send them fleeing to the Mega Pack room. In the process of that flight, they do end up getting Archivist out with the jump pack kill, but Donatello once again picked out the fight early by the main tanks, or by the tanks, I'm sorry, for the bench. Seb's finding Michael as well. No sustain on the objective. Kaiser duking out with the Aurora. Aurora won't die on that brick pick. Bob does come out from Christian, and the Graviton Surge is going to lock Truzoy in place. It looks like this fight is going all the way in the favor of the bench. They're going to hold the second objective. I told you about this, Laurel. We get stymied on the second point, and that is going to mean that the bench has evened out this series. The score is now 2-2. We'll be going the length all the way to our next control point.
We do love to see our off-tanks get some love. This is Zeb securing this final push, taking down Snaku while being purpled, and Trizu saying, bye-bye, this is my cards.
And I mean, just what a spectacular show from the bench. I said it earlier as the series was beginning that my money, my channel points rather, it really is on Maelstrom here. I owe it to the Ned who carried me in my competitive game earlier today. But man, more than I love the Ned, I love watching good Overwatch, good clean Overwatch played, and that's exactly what the bench has provided for me with that Watchpoint Gibraltar map. I mean, if you're a coach, a caster, an analyst, a player, I mean, just that whole map is really worth a VOD review to see just how well, how clean the bench played to hold that second objective and to cap all three objectives on their attack round with nearly 2 minutes in the time bank remaining. That being said, we're gonna have to see if they still maintain that level of strength and energy and vigor going into our next map.
For sure, 100%. Now, before we get our swaps, our map picks, we have to do this quick little advertisement. I mistakenly forgot it during the main ad break. We are hosting this because Delta won last night. And as we all know, we honor our winners sometimes in special ways. Delta, I guess it's looking for e-girl. 3.1 to 3.3 Prospect eSports Season 3 champs. Join us for the free wins. Made by Xvino. Though I wonder if they lost their e-girl because they have a very hard stance of only one e-girl per team. Do you think the success went to their head and that's why their one e-girl quit? I don't know. I hope not. Now, on that note, we will be going back into Nepal with a few swaps coming down on the board. Nepal just being this fun map, again, similar to Lijiang, not quite as strong as being able to do all these different comps, but the different map styles just allows you to see a lot of fun stuff. Double Bubble being very strong still on Nepal, all three map styles. And it'll just be a fun pleasure to see what both of these teams are going to be running. We've seen that the bench's Double Bubble is stronger than Maelstrom's Double Bubble. We've seen Silver's Ana being stronger than Michael's Ana, but I wonder if they're going to be running something else on Nepal, much like they did for Lijiang, because especially for Temple, there are specialty picks for these maps.
Yeah, and I think I actually DC'd there for a minute, but I should be back now. Going into Nepal, like you said, just a lot of different compositions that can be run here. Nepal in particular has two good maps for this double bubble composition that the bench is running. I like playing Winston in particular on Sanctum and Village. So if the bench can have the power of RN Jesus on their side, get those two maps, then they're looking pretty good. However, if the fight does take them to Shrine, then they might actually be forced more into this rush-based composition that Maelstrom is trying to get them to play. However, Maelstrom may have just opted out of that, especially with what we saw on Watchpoint Gibraltar, which is a good map for dive and double bubble, anyways. But they might just be saying, you know what, we're gonna opt in to the Clown Fiesta, as Brent of the Overwatch League says, and just run the double bubble ourselves. We're gonna play it better. And whether or not we see the double bubble or the Rhine Rhine Brawl Rush Comp, or even the Sigma Wrecking Ball, which we got to see a little bit of on Blizzard World. I think that once again, they just need to play it cleaner, and I'm looking forward to seeing those improvements here from Maelstrom coming into this next map.
Yes, I am excited to see what changes are going to happen. We do see Michael coming out for Jaden Pan and Truzo back on main tank instead of DPS. So these swaps can definitely make or break Maelstrom. Now, I can't remember the matchups for the bench versus Maelstrom when Maelstrom's winning versus losing, because like I mentioned before, I'm a little distracted tonight. I'm sorry, guys. But it would be interesting to see if this is the combination that ultimately allows Maelstrom to get the upper hand on the bench. Sometimes swaps aren't just if they're good at individual characters, but if they're better than their counterparts on the opponent team. So we do have a ready from our producer, so we will be going into Nepal for this map. We are 2-2 Maelstrom versus the bench on upper for Prospect eSports Showdown Season 3.
And I think we're struggling a little bit with some technical issues on my side. Had a little bit of a DC there. Should not persist, but so I'm sorry, Laura. I actually missed out on what you had said last. Going into Nepal, you talked about how these swaps, these substitutions can possibly make or break this composition. I think that having Trusoy on DPS might have worked to the detriment of Maelstrom last fight in particular, especially when we've seen Trusoy doing so good on the off-tank role. So I think that putting them back in on tank is exactly what Kaiser especially needs to really make sure that space is created, as they say. Meanwhile, Donatello and Jaden, be on the lookout, because Sebs and Zed, they do not care where you are, what you're doing, what cooldowns you have at your disposal. We saw this on Gibraltar, and they will be coming after the supports here for Maelstrom. It's on Maelstrom to make sure that their supports stay alive, because if the sustain goes away, then the point does as well, and they'll eventually yield that to the bench. So you're starting on Nepal Village. Do you think that we're going to see that double bubble composition emerge from both these teams, or just on the bench?
This map doesn't necessarily benefit very much from the high mobility that double bubble allows you to do from like multiple angles and going down. It might be a little stronger to see some brawl, which definitely gives Maelstrom the upper hand. And it does look like we are going towards a European brawl from both sides, except Maelstrom showing Kaiser on the Orisa, which I don't necessarily hate. We do have Donatello and Jaden being on the mirror matchups, and then Strat and Christian matching as well for DPS.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the Mei and the Symmetra. It's so funny, it's so amusing to me how many people told me, especially going into the last season, how Orisa doesn't fit into a rush composition when she absolutely does. She's got the playmaking of Zarya, better damage mitigation, and even just as much damage potential. So as the walls come up, we're going to be looking for big plays from Kaiser on the Orisa here, the queen of Overwatch, as I call her. Fight is already broken out just off the objective, and the Immortality field comes out from Jaden first. Now, the bench maintain control of the objective, but losing their main tank in the process. Zed goes down, which prompts the wall out, separating Trusoy from the rest of the team. Now both teams are lacking that Reinhardt, but Maelstrom still has their main tank, but Madsen getting the 2 picks onto Truzoy and Strath there is going to solidify this objective for them. And even with Christian hanging out here on the backline, proccing the ice block to get out and the wall to stay safe as well, isn't going to be able to escape. Sebs on the D.Va still pumping damage into Kaiser on the main tank role. Eventually, yes, as Donatello falls, we're going to see Maelstrom start to really pull back, but they won't do it of their own accord. Zed says, back to spawn with the rest of you. We hold this objective first.
Yeah, and Seb's ult charge being so much higher than the Orisa's, you know, we're going to have Bomb, Shatter, Blizzard, Wall. We're going to have the whole board. I just noticed
Everything.
the whole board on the bench, where we almost have the whole board on Maelstrom, but a little far back. They should have probably pulled back sooner to prevent that stagger. TP coming out, getting them to high ground opposite of where the bench was holding, which was smart. They're going to be able to set up their turrets as much as they want. Wall coming out, and Crystal getting picked.
This whole exchange, the wall blocking the shatter from Truzoy, the damage amplification coming through with the amplification matrix from Sebs and Zed, allowing them to get those final kills. The wall coming up late from Strath. The team has already fallen, and we procced the giant sim barrier there. Didn't even have the opportunity to beat or amplification matrix on the side of Maelstrom. And now look at this ultimate deficit that they're sitting at here. 4 ults expended, 80% to this objective here for the bench. I mean, what are they gonna do?
Yeah, pretty much Zed having his shatter up is really the only thing that they have going for them, and the reaction time. However, you know, Maelstrom's going to be able to take their pick of what they want to do, be aggressively or proactively, and their window is coming out early to try to help spread some of this damage into the bench.
Gotta watch out for that double barrier. Hard to land some of those shatters onto there. And as the stun comes onto Zed, the elimination will follow. The wall coming up to separate the forces of Maelstrom off the objective. Truzoy ends up falling, collapsing as a result of it. Madsen coming in clutch once again with the elimination onto Jaden Payne. There goes the sustain and charging ammo and charge off of this barrier that was dropped by Kaiser as the wall is procced and the May wall, the ice wall, comes up on the side of Maelstrom. The amplification matrix will be cast into the surprise of Christian. Now Truzoy engaging onto the objective. The damage will be behind it. And I don't think that, oh, Truzoy backed off just for some brief respite and reconnected, just not in time. Wow, what a clean round once again from the bench.
Was incredibly fast for how some of these other matches are going. I wonder if there is some mental booming happening on Maelstrom. They don't normally give up a point 0 to 100, especially with the comp that they are a little bit more comfortable running. They tend to be more comfortable on their Brawl counterpart. However, we do go to I always call this Temple Center. I forget its official name, or Elephant. I think a lot of teams call it. We do see the same Brawl coming out, except Christian on the Doomfist and Truzoy on the D.Va.
Now here comes Strath on the Symmetra, probably just to get the team out. Yeah, it's going to prompt, is going to immediately switch up to Kree. Madsen is still on the Symmetra, and that's good, actually, for the bench, as they brawl it out, and they duke it out on the objective. The wall separating Kaiser and Truzoy. Truzoy dips right out, says, I am out of here. Donatello and Kaiser will both fall without the additional damage mitigation that Truzoy was able to provide. Punch from Person comes in, doesn't quite connect. It does get the immortality field out from the bench, but they're going to have that coming into next fight because they've captured this objective, and they're staggering Truzoy out, trying to get that mech back. Will be able to re-mech, but gets immediately demeched again. Oh no! Eventually falls, and it's so long that Maelstrom is going to have to wait now.
Strat was able to take out Aurora, but being a loser, they're going to get back to points so fast. Now, it would have been hilarious had Truzoy gotten a remech kill. That would have just been icing on the cake, but, you know,
yeah.
we can only wish Aurora already back on the team before Maelstrom has even rotated 2 points.
Yeah, they're opting for this high ground here, but I don't know how well it's going to turn out for them without a high noon or an amplification matrix. But look at Christian and Donatello on the pharmacy here, trying to exploit the weakness of not having a hit scan. It's going to result in elimination onto Archivist. We saw the damage boosted Rocket just take out so much of their health pool, and now the amplification matrix will be cast by Silvertall, who eventually goes down in the fight to Strath. Shatter does come out from Zed, which allows, it almost lets him get the pick onto Kaiser, and as the wall comes up, it's not going to really be there for damage mitigation because the fight has already swung for Maelstrom. Sebs is demeched, doesn't endure the same punishment that Truzoy did, but now now the bench will lose objective control there.
50% to 7% now, which is a little bit more of what we were expecting. We were never expecting 100 to 0 like the first round was. We don't see any swaps really happening on team the bench, but they are rotating much faster. They're already on the high ground by Bell, and they are reclaiming the high noon coming out. But Archivist taking 2 before that.
I mean, that's such a massive pick there, getting Donatello and Christian there with the all-fires. The Shatter does land onto 2 members of the bench, but the freeze onto them thwarts any follow-up that there was. Amplification Matrix cast by Jaden isn't going to get any value, and as Christian does reconnect the objective, and Strath is promptly eliminated, we're going to see the point flip back for the bench. Christian and Donatello probably going to get staggered here. Yeah, Donatello gets stunned and goes critically low, 1 HP in a dream as Christian gets out of the fight. Donatello is able to to Guardian Angel back to the team, and man, I mean, the bench is playing so well right now, getting that Truzoi stagger again.
Yes, we did see Truzoi and Sebs' bombs taking nothing but both of the lamps out of that match. And so we do still have Shatter beat on the bench and Barrage on the side of Maelstrom. Not a whole lot to work with pushing it. They're going to have to say, and Christian goes down. Barrage is no longer on the table.
Man. No, it is not, and neither is Valkyrie. Donatello, 88% to ult, and picked out by a critical hit elimination. Final blow onto them. That's going to deny so much value, the damage amp and the sustain here as the fight breaks out into last teamfight territory. Big Shadow from Zed takes out both of the tanks, and now Truzoi is disconnected, and Kaiser is out of the fight. Barrage comes out from Christian, but it was a dream to connect there. Amplification Matrix comes out the wall in Donatello's face. It means that there's no hope for a resurrect or a retest, and now the bench have put themselves in match point territory.
Now this is just impressive how quickly the bench has taken this round on Nepal. Silvertail, you don't see Baps get many play in the game. I'm excited to see this. Living through a flashbang and taking out McCree, that is just impressive and juicy.
Oh, man. As a support player, look at that 71% kill participation. That's kills and defensive assists. Their offensive assists with the Matrix, the Amplification Matrix has, which I struggle to think of an Amplification Matrix that Silver hasn't gotten value out of. I mean, I've really been singing everyone's praises tonight. Truzoi, Kaiser, Christian, Donatello, the Ned, of course, Zed, Sebs, but Silver is really setting the bar high for the support gameplay. Playing a lot of Baptiste myself, it's so refreshing to see someone take advantage of the duality of Baptiste kit. So, you know, honestly, whether it's Ana or Zen or Baptiste, I'm looking forward so much to continued flex support gameplay from Silver. And honestly, if Maelstrom wants to take it 2 more maps and possibly win, they need to shut Silver down.
Yeah, now I am bribing them slightly to do the Hanamura because I don't want a 8-round Volskaya on my hands.
I want an 8-round Volskaya.
Ethan, you changed your vote on me then, because we have had crazy Volskayas every single time in our casts. I almost said, oh look, they went Hanamura, but then it's just Nikki screaming Hanamura. Strath, the official Maelstrom vote, going to Hanamura.
Hanamura is going to be our next map, and I can't complain. I would have liked to see an 8-round Volskaya. I'll take an 8-round Hanamura instead. I hope it goes that distance. We're going to see Matson and Strath in particular really tested here on the Symmetra role, and now we're going to see some swaps coming in. Jaden is out. The Ned is in. And I think that might be it that we're seeing as far as substitutions for Maelstrom. You know, on top of not only the really good gameplay that we're seeing from both these teams, I really need to shout out the endurance of the bench as well. And as we do head into this next match, before I go on that tangent, be sure to cast your predictions for this match. Is the bench going to close out this series with a final map on Hanamura, or is Maelstrom finally going to clean up their gameplay and really make sure that they are the ones who are most deserving of the Grand Champion title for Season 3 of Prospect Esports? But Laurel, going back to what I was saying, we have seen, if I'm correct, we have seen no substitutions coming in for the bench. It's been the same 6 players for the last, what, 2 hours now? I mean, 2 hours is a long time to play in the team setting because the team setting is so different. It's so much more rigorous than just solo queue competitive, where you can take a 5-minute break, step away from the computer. And we've had a couple of breaks here in this series so far, but I mean, you've got to wonder how the mental fortitude is really being tested for not only the bench but both of these teams.
Yeah, now I wonder if the bench's strategy is to not change out because having multiple switch outs does impact your synergy. Now, I had hoped that the switches that happened on Maelstrom's side previously, was their quote secret sauce and what was going to allow them to regain this confidence. However, I am worried that this constant swap out by pretty much half their team, and not only that, but Truzo is switching from tank to DPS, Ned from DPS to support, Snake you in and out. Like, how much does that impact the synergy, the negative side? Like having 6 players be 6 all night long, that's one thing, but constantly swapping can get frustrating too.
I mean, here for our upper division, it's really, at the very least, we know that these people, these players, they know how to play the game, right? But you're absolutely right. Synergy is an entirely different conversation to be had here, and I am a little bit leery about these substitutions as well, these swaps. And as they danced from role to role, they were looking so good on Blizzard World and on Anubis as well. And so I do have to wonder here. I think Maelstrom also did win our first control point map on oh god, on Lijiang Tower. Um,
Yeah, I know it feels like ages ago, like months
it
and
honestly
years.
does. But they've looked so good tonight. So I won't say anything bad about the net on support. I think that maybe that's actually where maybe that's the maybe that's the key here for Maelstrom. They need just